When I told my wife she was my everything during our divorce, she laughed and said, "You really think you're the only one?" I just nodded, then handed her the PI report, 4 affairs over 2 years, and watched her face drop as she realized she's cooked. I was sitting across from my husband, Ryan, in a downtown Cleveland mediation office, watching the man I'd spent 9 years loving grin like he was about to win a game show. That stupid smirk was the last thing I expected the day our marriage officially collapsed. The mediator was explaining asset division when Ryan suddenly leaned back in his chair and said, loud enough to echo off the beige walls, "Can we please speed this up? I just want what I deserve, so I can move on with my life." I stared at him. "What you deserve?" He shrugged like he was bored. "Yeah, you know, after everything I put up with. My pulse kicked hard in my throat. I hadn't said a word yet, because I'd practiced silence. I practiced patience. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head so many times that I felt detached, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. "Let's talk about fair," I said quietly. His eyes lit up like he'd won. Finally, I slid a folder across the table. Inside was the generous offer I wanted him to see first. He opened it, skimmed it, laughed. "Oh wow, you're letting me keep the lake house? And the truck? Damn, Maya. I didn't realize you wanted me gone this badly." My chest tightened. He really believed he was untouchable. "You're serious?" I asked. "Of course I'm serious," he said, leaning back. "I mean, come on. I know you think I'm the only person who ever cared about you like that. But," he smirked, "you weren't exactly the only one loving me." The mediator shifted in his seat. "Mr. Dalton." No, let him talk," I said. Ryan waved a hand. "Look, let's be adults. I know you've been suspicious, but trust me, you were never the only woman who thought I was her everything. Women say that all the time." A slow burn spread through my chest. "Interesting you say that," I murmured, "because I brought something else for you." His smile faltered. I opened my briefcase and pulled out a second folder, thicker, heavier, the weight of a year's worth of truth inside it. "What's that?" he asked, though his voice wasn't confident anymore. I slid it in front of him. "Documentation." He flipped open the cover. The blood drained from his face. Inside were time-stamped photos, phone logs, screenshots, GPS data, 8 months of surveillance, 3 different women he'd been sleeping with during our marriage, 2 co-workers, 1 neighbor, 1 woman he'd met at the gym and took on a weekend work trip, and then the thing he never thought I'd know. The woman he'd insisted for years was just a friend, someone he'd sworn he'd never touch. Her. The mediator leaned forward, stunned. "Is this from a private investigator?" "Yes," I said. Ryan snapped the folder shut like it burned him. "You had me followed?" "I had my husband followed," I said evenly. "When he started coming home smelling like perfume I don't own. When he started staying late at work, even though I can see his location on Find My Phone. When the neighbor's husband knocked on my door and asked me if I knew the 2 of you were screwing in her living room." Ryan froze. The mediator exhaled sharply. Now he understood why I'd been calm from the moment we sat down. Why I hadn't reacted to his smirking or gloating. Ryan swallowed hard. "Maya, we can talk about this." I closed my folder. "No," I said. "We're long past talking." And then my phone buzzed. The message on the screen made my stomach drop. A name I never expected to see again. A name tied to a betrayal even Ryan didn't know about. A betrayal that would shift everything. Most people think marriages collapse overnight, like a sudden explosion. Mine didn't. It rotted slow, layer by layer, until all that was left was the outline of something that used to feel safe. Ryan and I met in Toledo when we were 23. He was loud, charming, the kind of guy who could talk a cop out of giving him a ticket. I was quieter, the type who watched people before trusting them. He told me once, on our 3rd date, "You make me want to be a better man." Turns out that was the biggest red flag of all. We got married 4 years later. Small ceremony. Lakefront. His family acted like I'd won a prize. My family acted like I'd settled. But at the beginning, I really believed we were partners. We bought a house on the west side of Cleveland. We built routines, lazy Sunday breakfasts, grocery store dates, late-night Target runs. For a long time, the normal parts felt good. The cracks came quietly. He became too tired to help with anything at home, too busy for my friends, too stressed to take trips, and then too checked out to even look at me sometimes. He always had explanations, and for a while I accepted them. He said work was crazy. He said he needed space. He said I was too sensitive when I questioned anything. The night things really started to shift, though, was the night he didn't come home until 3 a.m. He claimed he was helping a coworker move a couch. At 3 a.m. in February, while wearing cologne. That was the first night I stayed awake until morning, staring at the ceiling, realizing something was wrong but still not admitting it out loud. Then came the gym phase. Mr. I hate exercise suddenly lived at the gym 5 days a week. New clothes, new haircut, new friends. One night I walked into the kitchen to throw out a bag of groceries and found his phone buzzing on the counter. I didn't touch it. I didn't have to. The lock screen lit up with a message. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place? Same time? Winky face. The name on the screen was saved as Alex. But the profile picture was definitely a woman. We fought about it. I asked directly. He laughed like I was a child accusing him of stealing cookies. You're paranoid, Maya. You're insecure, Maya. You're imagining things. Classic lines. I almost believed him. Almost. Then the neighbor, Kevin, showed up at my door one night while Ryan was working late. Kevin looked like he hadn't slept in days. His hands were shaking. I need to ask you something, he said. And I really don't want to be right. I felt my stomach drop. What? Do you know that my wife has been seeing someone? I blinked. No. I'm sorry. I had no idea. He looked at the floor. Well, I think it's your husband. I swear the world tilted sideways for a second. He apologized over and over, said he wasn't trying to start anything. But he'd found messages, photos, dates, hotel receipts, and the man in the screenshots. Same jacket, same tattoos, same watch. Ryan. That night I sat in my car for almost an hour, hands on the steering wheel, breath shaking, trying to understand how the life I'd built had become this unrecognizable mess. The next morning, I hired a private investigator. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted proof for court. I hired one because I needed to know if I was crazy, or if my husband had been lying straight to my face for years. Turned out I wasn't crazy. Turned out he'd been lying even more than I thought. And the person who texted me during mediation? The person whose name made my stomach twist? They were the one betrayal Ryan didn't know I knew about. The one betrayal that went deeper than his cheating. The one that made the PI's report look small. The message that popped up during mediation, the one that made my stomach drop, came from a name I hadn't seen in almost 2 years. Lena. As in my younger sister, Lena. I didn't open the message right then. I didn't need more chaos added to the room. Ryan was already spiraling, flipping through pages of the PI report like the truth was going to change if he turned the pages fast enough. But seeing her name dragged me straight back into everything we'd been avoiding for years. Everything we'd never resolved. Everything she'd done. Because here's the thing. Ryan cheating on me wasn't the first betrayal in my life. It wasn't even the worst. Lena's betrayal hit first. Ryan simply repeated the pattern. Back then, before everything with Ryan started falling apart, I used to think Lena and I were close. Sisters who fought hard but loved harder. She was always the wild one, late-night parties, impulsive road trips, bad boy phases, you name it. I was the grounded one, the boring older sister paying bills, holding everything together, making sure she didn't burn her life down. She loved that about me, until she didn't. 2 years ago, when Ryan and I were going through a rough patch, nothing major, just financial stress and long work hours, Lena asked if she could stay with us for a few weeks. She was between apartments. I said yes before I even asked Ryan. She moved in. She laughed with him. They cooked together more than I liked. I told myself I was imagining things. I wasn't. One night, I came home earlier than usual and overheard them talking in the kitchen. The tone was too soft, too familiar, too intimate. I walked in and Lena jumped like I'd caught her stealing. "Relax," she'd snapped. "We're just talking." She moved out 2 days later. Claimed the vibes in the house were weird. We didn't speak again. I never had proof of anything. No evidence. No photos. No messages. Nothing to accuse her with besides intuition and the way Ryan acted way too defensive every time her name came up. But the damage stuck. So when her name lit up on my phone in that mediation room, yeah, it rattled me. Hard. I ignored it. I needed to focus. I needed to play this exactly right. After Ryan stormed out of mediation, I walked slowly to the parking garage. I sat in my car and finally opened Lena's message. "I need to talk to you. It's about Ryan. It's important. Please don't ignore me." My chest tightened. Was she apologizing? Warning me? Manipulating me again? I didn't reply. Instead, I reopened the PI report. I'd memorized most of it already, but every page was another nail in the coffin of our marriage. Photos of Ryan leaving hotels. Photos of him in restaurants with women he'd sworn were just co-workers. Photos of him holding hands with a woman he'd met at the gym. Every lie he'd told me had a matching timestamp. The investigator, Mark, had met with me twice. Each time he brought more evidence, more dates, more pieces of the life Ryan had been living in parallel to mine. But there was one part one hadn't processed fully. One line in the summary that didn't match the rest. One unidentified contact maintains consistent nighttime communication with subject. Frequency suggests emotional involvement. Identity unclear. I hadn't asked who it was. I didn't want to. I already suspected. And then, 2 days later, at 10:41 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Lena. It was the PI. "Found something you're going to want to see. Call me first thing tomorrow." I didn't sleep that night, because deep down I knew. I knew exactly what he was going to say. And I knew it would change everything I thought I understood, even about the betrayal I thought I already uncovered. I called the PI Mark first thing the next morning. I hadn't slept, barely drank water, barely moved. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. He picked up on the second ring. "Maya," he said, voice cautious. "You alone." That was enough to make my stomach fold in on itself. "Yes," I whispered. "What did you find?" He exhaled. "I need you to listen before you react. That's the thing people say right before a bomb drops." "Okay," I said. "You remember the unknown contact I mentioned in the report? The one your husband was calling late at night?" My mouth went dry. "Yes. Last night," he continued. I finally matched the number to a name. Every muscle in my body tightened. "It belongs to someone you know," he said. I don't know what I expected. One of the affair partners? A coworker he hadn't admitted to? The neighbor's wife again? But nothing could have prepared me for the name he spoke next. "It's registered to your sister, Lena." I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. "No," I said. Not angry, not loud, just numb. A flat denial. "That can't be right." I triple-checked. "It's her number." "No," I repeated. "They haven't talked in 2 years. They know." "Maya," he said gently. I also pulled text records. Not content, but timestamps. There's a pattern. What pattern? Calls between them started around the time she moved out. Then they increased. 3, sometimes 4 nights a week. Always after 11 p.m. And Sundays. Sundays. I echoed, confused. That night he started taking his solo drives? Remember? My stomach twisted so hard I had to sit down on the floor. He continued quietly. "Based on frequency and timing, the contact is more consistent and emotional than with any of the other women." I pressed a hand to my mouth. My body was shaking so violently I could barely breathe. "How long?" I whispered. "About 1.5 years," he said. "Possibly longer. 1.5 years. 1.5 years of lies. 1.5 years of secret calls. 1.5 years of the 2 people who should have protected me choosing each other." "Do you want the full file?" he asked. I didn't answer, because in that moment, I remembered something I'd shoved deep down, something I'd convinced myself didn't matter. The week Lena moved out suddenly, Ryan had been weirdly quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that hides something big. I'd asked him if everything was okay, and he told me he was just stressed from work. But later, I'd found one of Lena's bracelets tucked under the passenger seat of Ryan's truck. He claimed she must have dropped it when he helped her move boxes. And like the idiot I was back then, I believed him. Now my brain was replaying every moment like a cruel movie. The way they laughed together. The inside jokes. The glances I pretended I didn't see. The softness in her voice when she talked to him. The way he defended her whenever she upset me. Her sudden, unexplainable distance after she moved out. I thought she left because the vibes were weird. But now I understood something horrifying. The vibes were weird because I was living in a home where my husband and my sister were hiding something behind my back. And the message Lena sent during mediation? Suddenly it made sickening sense. She wasn't reaching out because she cared. She was reaching out because she knew the truth was closing in. And she wanted to spin her version first. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just sat on the floor of my condo, phone in my hand, staring at the wall while my entire life rearranged itself in my head. Every memory rewired. Every assumption shattered. Every normal moment reinterpreted through a new, ugly lens. A year and a half. My husband. My sister. I wasn't even angry yet. Anger was too hot, too sharp. What I felt was cold. A deep, chilling stillness coating every nerve. Like my body realized before my brain did that something irreversible had happened. 2 hours later, I finally stood up. By the time I finished showering and getting dressed, the numbness had turned into something else. Something steady, deliberate. Not revenge, not yet. More like clarity. For the first time in years, I saw Ryan exactly as he was. And I saw Lena exactly as she'd always been. I pulled out a notebook and sat at the kitchen table. I wasn't planning a revenge fantasy. I was planning survival. And survival meant documentation, leverage, evidence, timing. The PI had already done most of the heavy lifting. But now I had a bigger picture to deal with, one that involved more than cheating. One that included family betrayal. One that opened me up to questions no judge could ignore. If Ryan and Lena had been involved behind my back, even emotionally, that changed everything. Judges don't like deception. They don't like hidden relationships. And they especially don't like siblings betraying each other within a marriage. So I wrote down what I needed. Phone records confirming frequency between them, any financial ties, any location overlaps, any messages before Lena moved out. Anything that hinted at emotional or physical involvement. My pen didn't shake. My hand was steady. By noon, I had a plan. Step 1. Talk to Mark, the PI. Get everything. Step 2. Talk to my lawyer. Quietly. Strategically. No accusations yet. Step 3. Secure my own finances. Step 4. Prepare for Ryan and Lena to deny everything. Step 5. Stay silent until the exact right moment to use what I knew. Silence is underrated. People reveal more when they think you're clueless. Around 1:15 p.m., Lena texted again. Maya, please. I need to explain. Don't shut me out. Explain what? That she spent a year and a half whispering into my husband's phone at midnight? That she moved out to protect herself, not me? That while I thought I was losing my marriage, she was working overtime to help him destroy it. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the message to my lawyer with a single note. We may have an additional involved party. Need to discuss privately. My lawyer called immediately. What does that mean? He asked. It means, I said slowly, that the unknown number from the PI report belongs to someone I know. Who? My sister. There was silence on the line. Then he said, all right, we revisit our strategy. And you do not, under any circumstances, confront either of them yet. I wasn't planning to. Good, he said, because if there's even a hint of collusion between them, it strengthens your position. And if it goes deeper than emotional involvement, we're looking at leverage that could change the entire settlement. I exhaled. Start gathering everything, he added. Every screenshot, every message, every detail of your sister's time living with you. Anything that ties the two of them together. I'm on it. I hung up, sat back down, and opened Lena's text thread. Years of messages. Some innocent, some hurtful, and then one that made my blood run cold. A message she sent me the night she abruptly moved out. One I'd forgotten existed. I can't stay here anymore. Tell Ryan not to call me tonight. I reread it. Again. Again. Back then, it didn't seem odd. Now it was the first puzzle piece snapping into place. A small piece, but the exact shape of something monstrous. I stared at that old text from Lena. Tell Ryan not to call me tonight, until the words blurred. It was too familiar, too deliberate, too practiced, like they already had a routine. My heart thudded hard against my ribs. I scrolled further back through old messages I'd ignored because they felt small at the time, inconsequential. But now, they read like clues I'd been too trusting or too stupid to notice. A month before she moved out. Thanks for letting me borrow the truck again. Borrow it for what? She never told me. I never asked. Another. Tell Ryan I'm sorry I missed him last night. Missed him. Not missed us. Not missed me. My fingers trembled as I scrolled. And then I found something I must have glanced at years ago and dismissed entirely. It was a photo I'd sent her, me and Ryan at a family barbecue. I had captioned it, "We miss you. Come tomorrow." Her response, "He looks good." I'd replied, "Oh well, he's sunburnt." She'd responded, "He looks better than he used to." I'd let it slide because I thought she was teasing. But now, looking at it through the truth, it wasn't teasing. It was interest masked as humor. I set my phone down and pressed my palms to the table. I needed air. Space. Something. I stepped onto my balcony. The cold Cleveland wind biting my skin. My thoughts were spiraling until my phone buzzed again. A number I didn't recognize. I shouldn't have answered. But I did. "Maya?" a man's voice said. I froze. "Who is this?" "My name's Adam. I think you know my wife." Or, he swallowed, "My ex-wife." My pulse skipped. "I'm sorry, who?" "Lena." My grip tightened around the phone. "I found your number in some old paperwork of hers," he continued. "I debated calling, but after last night I didn't know what else to do." "What happened last night?" I asked, dread washing over me like ice water. He took a shaky breath. "She showed up at my apartment crying, saying she made a mistake, begging me to take her back. Said she'd been involved with someone for a while who used her. Said he promised to leave his wife and never did." I went still. "She never told me the man's name," Adam said. "But she said he was married. And she said he cut her off. Completely. No explanation." The cold in my chest spread. Because I knew exactly when Ryan started pulling away from someone. About 4 months before I confronted him about the gym woman. Around the time he got sloppy and started juggling too many lies at once. A sick idea formed. "Adam," I said slowly, "why did she leave you in the first place?" He let out a bitter laugh. "She said she wanted freedom. Said I was holding her back. But now I'm starting to think she left because she thought this other guy would leave his wife." My breath caught in my throat. 1.5 years. Lena thinking Ryan would choose her. Ryan stringing her along. Their relationship burning hot until it burned out. And then Ryan moved on to other women. She wasn't just cheating with my husband. She was in love with him. And he used her. Fed her promises. Turned her into a secret he could discard whenever he wanted. Which meant, Lena reaching out to me now wasn't guilt. It wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't warning. It was something much darker. Desperation. She wasn't trying to explain. She was trying to make sure I didn't destroy the only man she'd ever thrown her life away for. "Adam," I whispered. "I think I know who the man was." "Yeah," he said quietly. "I figured you might." He exhaled shakily. "She said one more thing," he added. "What?" "She said if the truth came out, she'd lose everything." I leaned on the balcony rail, the city spinning below me. "Yeah," I whispered. "She will." I met with Lena 2 days later. Not because I wanted to, because I needed to hear the truth straight from the source before I buried both her and Ryan legally, financially, and socially. We met at a small coffee shop in Lakewood, the kind of place where the lights are too soft and the floors creak with every step. She showed up late, of course she did, wearing oversized sunglasses like she was some kind of celebrity hiding from paparazzi. When she finally sat down, she didn't take the glasses off. "Maya," she said quietly, "you look tired." I stared at her. "Take the glasses off." She hesitated, then slowly slid them off. Her eyes were red. Not from crying, she was too calculated for that. From exhaustion. From sleepless nights. From fear. "Are you going to yell at me?" she asked. "No." "Are you going to hit me?" "No." "Then what do you want?" "The truth." She sat back, crossing her arms. "You already know the truth. Tell me anyway," I said. "I want to hear it from you." Her jaw tightened. "Fine." She didn't break. Didn't apologize. Didn't crumble like I stupidly hoped she would. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice low, steady, disturbingly calm. "You want to know why it happened?" she said. "Because Ryan saw me." I didn't react. She took that as permission to continue. "You were always the perfect one," she said. "The one with the career, the stable relationship, the clean apartment, the organized schedule, Mom's favorite, Dad's pride. And I was just chaos, the screw-up." I blinked. "So you slept with my husband because you felt insecure?" "No," she snapped. "I slept with him because he understood me in a way you never did." My stomach twisted. "He didn't judge me," she continued. "He didn't talk down to me. He didn't treat me like some project to fix. He actually listened." "While cheating on me," I said. She shrugged. "I didn't force him." I stared at her, amazed by the cold logic of it. "He told me things," she said. "Private things. How lonely he felt with you. How suffocating your expectations were. How you made him feel like he was never enough." My throat tightened. Those were my insecurities shoved back into my face. "He said," she added, "that he married you because you were safe, but I was exciting." A tremor ran through my hands. "He said," she repeated, eyes gleaming, "that if we met first, everything would have been different." There it was. The thing that explained everything. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't confused. She wasn't manipulated. She was in love with him. Obsessed. Consumed. And the most horrifying part? She genuinely believed he loved her back. "What made you think he'd leave me?" I asked softly. Her eyes flicked away. "He said he would. When I moved out. And then," she swallowed. "Then he said the timing was bad. Then he said you were fragile. Then he said he needed to be sure you'd be okay first." "And you believed that?" I asked. Her voice hardened. "Of course I did." I leaned back. "Lena, he wasn't planning to leave me. He wasn't even exclusive with you. He had other affairs." She froze. I saw the exact moment the truth hit her. The flash of pain, disbelief, anger. But then she did something that chilled me to my core. She smiled. A small, eerie, almost relieved smile. "I know," she whispered. My blood turned to ice. "You knew?" I asked. She nodded. "Of course. He told me. He said he couldn't help himself." She leaned forward, eyes bright with something dark and twisted. "He said loving me didn't mean he couldn't have fun." Silence collapsed between us. She wasn't just complicit. She accepted the cheating, accepted being used, accepted the pain because any piece of him was better than none. That was her reason. Not passion. Not confusion. Not weakness. It was something far more terrifying. She wanted to be chosen no matter what it cost, including me. I didn't say anything to Lena after her confession. There was nothing left to say. She sat there across from me in that dim little cafe, hands wrapped around a cup she never drank from, waiting for some explosion that never came. She wanted a reaction. She wanted rage, tears, a scene. Something that proved she still mattered to me. Instead, I stood up. "You'll hear from my lawyer," I said. Her face twisted. Maya, don't do this. You already did. I walked out. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. My revenge started the moment I realized the cold truth. Neither of them cared about protecting me, so I stopped protecting them. The next morning, I slid everything across my lawyer's desk: phone records, text timestamps, the PI's findings, the call from Lena's ex-husband, the timeline of her moving out, the midnight communication patterns. I had stacked the deck so thoroughly that even my lawyer just stared at me for a solid 10 seconds. You realize what this means? He said finally. Yes, I said. Use everything. Are you sure? This could ruin her relationship with your parents. She ruined that herself. And it will destroy him publicly. That's the idea. He nodded once, slowly. Then let's begin. What followed was methodical, cold, steady, surgical. 1. We filed a motion to introduce evidence of an improper relationship with a member of the petitioner's immediate family. Judges do not like that. It paints the unfaithful spouse as morally bankrupt and strategically deceptive. 2. We subpoenaed the phone company. Thousands of calls and texts, nearly all late night, all while he claimed to be working. 3. We documented Lena's presence in my home. Time overlaps, borrowed truck logs, proximity records, everything. 4. We filed for an aggressive reduction of his marital asset claim. Marital misconduct of exceptional severity. You'd better believe the court recognizes that phrase. Ryan lost his mind when the documents hit. He called. He showed up at my building. He yelled through the intercom. He sent 20 messages in an hour. I ignored all of it. My silence was the loudest thing I'd ever done. 3 days later, his lawyer called mine. Panicked. They wanted to negotiate. Quietly. Discreetly. They were terrified this would go public if it hit trial. Good. I didn't give him discretion. I gave him a deadline. He folded. Hard. I got 75% of the house proceeds, full ownership of the condo, every retirement account untouched as zero spousal support. All legal fees reimbursed, a written admission of misconduct submitted under seal. My lawyer's idea, just in case he tried anything later. Ryan didn't even fight, because he knew if we went to court, everything, including Lena, would be on the record. And he didn't want the world to know he had begged my sister not to leave him. Yes, turns out he had. Mark, the PI, found that little gem buried in deleted call logs. When my lawyer told me, I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No sadness. Just closure. As for Lena, my parents found out anyway. Not from me. Ryan's mother called mine crying. The fallout was nuclear. Last I heard, Lena moved back to Toledo with a friend. My parents aren't speaking to her. She texted me 2 nights ago. I hope you're happy. You ruined everything. I blocked her. I didn't ruin anything. They burned the bridge. I just made sure the ashes didn't land on me. Tonight, I'm sitting in my quiet condo. Fresh paint, new furniture, my life rebuilt piece by piece. The city lights of Cleveland bleed through my windows, and for the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe. I didn't get revenge by screaming or breaking things or torching their world. I got revenge by walking away whole while they collapsed under the weight of their own choices. And honestly, that's the coldest, calmest, most satisfying ending I could have asked for. After all, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's freedom.